Why Switzerland is so rich? It's not what you think. Switzerland has more millionaires per capita than almost any country on Earth. 1 in 7 adults is a millionaire. The average Swiss person is worth $685,000. But here's the weird part. Switzerland shouldn't exist, let alone be rich. It's landlocked, no access to oceans for trade. It has 0 oil, 0 gold mines, basically 0 natural resources, except cows and mountains. It's so mountainous that only 10% of the land is actually usable. They don't even have their own language. They borrowed German, French, Italian, and made up something called Romansh that only 60,000 people speak. So how did a country that's basically the geographic equivalent of a speed bump become richer than oil kingdoms and tech superpowers? The answer isn't what you think. It's not just banks, it's not chocolate, and it's definitely not because they're neutral. The real reason Switzerland is rich is because 500 years ago, they discovered something more valuable than gold: how to profit from everyone else's problems without actually having any problems themselves. Let me explain by starting with the most Swiss thing ever: a business meeting that happened in a meadow. Picture this. It's 1291. 3 random Swiss dudes meet in a field, not to fight, not to crown a king, but to basically create the world's first group chat. They promised to help each other out if anyone got invaded. That's it. That was the birth of Switzerland. No grand vision, no manifest destiny, just 3 guys saying, hey, if someone messes with you, we'll help. It's like starting a country with the same energy as creating a neighborhood watch WhatsApp group. For the next 200 years, Switzerland wasn't even really a country. It was more like a loose alliance of mountain people who really, really hated being told what to do. And this worked great until 1515, when the Swiss army, yes, Switzerland had one of Europe's most feared armies, got absolutely destroyed by the French in Italy. Any normal country would want revenge. The Swiss, they had a different idea. They basically said, you know what? Fighting is expensive. What if we just didn't? But here's where it gets genius. The Swiss realized just because we're not fighting doesn't mean other people won't pay us to fight for them.
Switzerland became the Uber of warfare. Need an army? Rent some Swiss guys. They were so good that European kings would specifically request Swiss soldiers. The Pope still has Swiss guards today. Those guys in the funny outfits, they're not just for show. They're trained soldiers. Think about how insane this business model is. Switzerland was literally playing both sides of every European war, sometimes having Swiss soldiers fighting other Swiss soldiers because they were hired by different kings. It's like if McDonald's rented out their employees to Burger King and Wendy's to fight each other, while McDonald's corporate just collected checks from everyone. This wasn't just profitable, it was genius marketing. Every battle Swiss mercenaries won was basically a LinkedIn testimonial for Switzerland. 5 stars, would hire again to overthrow a monarchy. Now, while Swiss soldiers were out there building Switzerland's reputation, something interesting was happening back home. Rich people across Europe started noticing something: Switzerland never got invaded anymore. Think about it from a rich French aristocrat's perspective in the 1700s. Your country gets invaded every 30 years. Your gold gets stolen, your castle gets burned, your wine cellar gets raided. But Switzerland? That weird mountain country that doesn't pick sides? Their stuff never gets touched. So rich people started doing what rich people do best: hiding their money. And Swiss banks said, we'll not only hide your money, we'll make it illegal for us to tell anyone you have money here. This is where it gets spicy. In 1713, Switzerland created the world's first bank secrecy laws, not because they were trying to help criminals, but because they realized that paranoid rich people would pay anything for privacy. It's like if Vegas's "What Happens in Vegas" slogan was actually legally binding and enforced by the government. By World War I and II, Swiss banks were running ads. Actual ads in French newspapers basically saying, hey, your government is raising taxes for the war? That sucks. Anyway, here's our Swiss bank account application.
World Wars I and II were horrible for humanity, but incredible for Swiss banks. While Europe was literally burning, Switzerland was the financial equivalent of that meme of the guy grilling while everything behind him is on fire. During World War II, everyone banked in Switzerland. The Nazis, the Allies, Jewish families fleeing persecution, American corporations, everyone. Swiss banks were playing financial Tetris with the entire world's money. And here's the dark part nobody talks about. Switzerland knew exactly whose gold was stolen, whose assets were legitimate, whose money was blood money. They didn't care. Their position was basically, we're not the money police, we're the money hotel.
When the Nazis wanted to store stolen gold, Switzerland said yes. When Jewish families wanted to hide their wealth from the Nazis, Switzerland also said yes. They were the ultimate I'm not involved friend who somehow profits from everyone's drama. The Swiss even had a plan if Germany invaded. Move all the gold to secret mountain bunkers and fight a guerrilla war from the Alps. Imagine Nazi soldiers trying to find gold while Swiss pammers are sniping them from mountains. Germany took one look at that plan and said, actually, let's just leave them alone. But here's what everyone misses about Switzerland. It's not just about banks. While everyone was fighting, Switzerland was innovating. They invented the Swiss Army knife, because when you're neutral, you need a tool that does everything except pick a side. They perfected watches, because when you're managing everyone's money, you better be precise about time. They created the best chocolate, because what else are you going to do when you're not spending money on wars? Switzerland has more Nobel Prize winners per capita than almost any country. They invented Velcro, aluminum foil, the electric toothbrush, yes, really, and even instant coffee. They built the Large Hadron Collider, the world's biggest science experiment, because apparently when you're not buying tanks, you can afford to answer questions about the universe. And pharmaceuticals? Swiss companies like Roche and Novartis make the drugs that keep half the world alive. During COVID, guess who was manufacturing vaccines while staying completely out of the political drama? Switzerland. Today, Switzerland has evolved beyond just hiding money. They've become the world's wealth management headquarters. Swiss banks manage $2.4 trillion of foreign wealth. That's more than the entire GDP of France. 1/3 of the world's privately held wealth passes through Switzerland. But here's the modern twist. Switzerland doesn't even have bank secrecy anymore, at least not officially. International pressure forced them to share information with other governments, but it doesn't matter because they've already won. It's like Netflix killing Blockbuster and then saying, okay, fine, we'll also rent DVDs. Too late, everyone's already subscribed. Rich people don't bank in Switzerland for secrecy anymore. They bank there because Swiss banks have 300 years of experience managing wealth, surviving wars, economic crashes, and political upheavals. Your local Bank of America might fail. Credit Suisse has survived Napoleon, Hitler, and the 2008 financial crisis. Here's the beautiful irony. Switzerland got rich by convincing everyone else that getting rich wasn't their priority. They're the country equivalent of that friend who says they don't care about money while driving a Tesla. They stayed out of the EU because they don't want to follow other people's rules. They didn't join the UN until 2002, even though the UN is headquartered in Geneva. They're like that neighbor who hosts the HOA meetings but isn't actually part of the HOA. So, why is Switzerland so rich? It's not because they have resources, it's not because they're smarter, it's because 500 years ago, they figured out the ultimate life hack. In a world where everyone fights over the pie, be the person who sells the plates. When everyone else zigs, Switzerland zags. When Europe went to war, Switzerland went to the bank. When countries formed unions, Switzerland stayed single. When the world demanded transparency, Switzerland said, sure, but we're keeping the money. Switzerland isn't rich despite being boring, neutral, and landlocked. They're rich because of it. They turned every disadvantage into a business model. And the craziest part? We all know they're doing it, and we still give them our money. Because in a world full of chaos, everyone needs a Switzerland.
That one stable friend who never gets involved in drama, but somehow always has money to lend. What would you do with Swiss bank account money? Let me know in the comments. And if this video made you want to move to Switzerland, sorry, they make that incredibly difficult too.